So, what is going on with Wendy Williams? I'm going to paraphrase. I'm going to quote what Don Luker is saying. Breaking: Hollywood show host Wendy Williams was seen panicking and crying from behind the glass of her room at an assisted living facility. This was really concerning. It's like if you know that she has this degeneration. Is that the name? He has had mental issues. No, those are not the words. I'm going to find the words shortly. Panicking and crying from behind the glass of her room at an assisted living facility. She claims she's in an abusive guardianship and being treated like a prisoner in newly released TMZ footage. Wendy Williams is locked in a room. Investigators say Wendy may have been misdiagnosed because her condition has significantly improved since becoming sober. And that is great. Let's watch the video. Remember, trigger warning for what we are about to watch.
Wendy Williams is locked in a room in an assisted living facility in New York.
Yeah, let's see, so we can see the captions and Wendy as well.
That's her. The only way I could interview her was to have a camera in the street because we can't get a camera in. She can't really have any visitors. She cannot go outside. She's been out twice in the last 30 days. She has no internet. She, and I think rightly, says she feels like a prisoner.
Are you allowed to go out?
No. In the last 30 days, I went out twice.
She is in a guardianship. And I got to tell you, Lauren.
You remember that is a, I don't know exactly what is the difference between a guardianship and a conservatorship, but it seems that somebody is in charge of you and your finances and, well, everything that pertains to your treatment as well. That's what's happening with Britney Spears back in the day. You might argue that the Free Britney movement did not have the outcome that we were expecting, but even so, she's free right now. And yeah, she has been through so much. I certainly hope that Britney is healing. I hope that Wendy doesn't go as long, because you remember that how long was Britney's conservatorship? It was like 10 years or something like that, right? It was really long.
If you saw the Lifetime documentary on her when she was deep into alcohol a couple of years ago, it made sense to have a guardianship. Wendy is sober now. She is fine. I have spoken with her for hours and hours, as have many others. And everybody comes up with the same conclusion. She's back to the old Wendy. Yet, she's not only in a guardianship, it's a guardianship that has essentially locked her up.
Now, this is my question. If somebody is keeping her locked in, how do they allow her to have these calls? I don't know. Maybe she found a way to be able to talk to people outside with a friend with a borrowed phone.
And thrown away the key. She has been diagnosed with something called frontotemporal dementia.
Yeah, it's a frontotemporal dementia. She was diagnosed with. Allegedly.
That's what Bruce Willis has. That condition never gets better. It only gets worse. There is a similar diagnosis called alcohol-induced dementia. That can get better. Wendy is an alcoholic, and she was deep into alcohol. But the fact is, when you look at her 2 years ago, she's gotten better. Mm-hmm. There's no question. And was this a misdiagnosis? And if so, she's going to get her.
Well, you remember that Britney also went through that kind of stuff. People misdiagnosing her, which made things even worse and more difficult to get her out of that.
A reevaluation. But for some reason, the Guardian said, we don't think the diagnosis is going to change. How can the Guardian say that? The Guardians only talk to her like once a month. And I got to tell you, I've talked to her for hours and hours and hours over the last month. And this woman is better. She needs a sober coach. Personally, I don't think she needs a guardian. This is a country where you're supposed to have freedom unless there's something really extreme, and she's not there.
Yeah, the problem is how to catalog that really extreme. And when, well, essentially when you have money, you know that there are going to be vultures, and those vultures can come from anywhere. When share this, when the rumors about Wendy Williams first started a few years ago, word on the street was that her son was dipping into her accounts recklessly. Seems like people forgot that part before the conservatorship or the guardianship. So there's this video as well.
Your money. Who was unduly influencing you? Who is the person?
Okay, let's see. We don't have captions. We're going to generate the captions really quickly. So this is, well, one thing is for certain. I'm glad that she's sober now and she has overcome that part, because that's one of the most destructive things that can happen. Addiction and alcohol. Alcohol is so ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's something social. It's something that is so hard to get away from. I'm glad that she's better in that way.
Who was unduly influencing you? Who is the person that was doing this?
Thank you. Listen, my son is a really good person. You know what? Oh, God, I'm not going to cry about that. Oh, I'm sorry for cursing. Look, my son is a good person, but at this point, he is a horrible person to me. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's the way he moves with other people. You know what I'm saying? And what's going on with these other people at my apartment in Miami? What are you doing? Oh, you spent on what? And what is going on at Wells Fargo?
There was a situation where Kevin says he wanted to rent a boat for his birthday for $1,500 and ended up getting a boat that rented out for $113,000.
So this, again, it's I'm sad to say that sometimes you just have to follow the money. You see that there are always all this interest, all those things happening in people's lives. In Brittany, it was the same. I remember, I still have all those videos. I remember that video is out there. I think it was one of the best videos that I made. It was on Brittany's brother. He was interviewed, and you could see his smug face. That it was no big deal. She's better in the conservatorship, and he was talking about the amount of money that Brittany had made. And I remember, you know, that I sometimes when I say billions, to reinforce the things, I remember that comes from that interview when he says billions with a B. I know it was the interviewer who couldn't believe that they were talking about billions that she had made only with her perfume. And again, it's sad how sometimes family can turn against you. And we were talking about that when we were talking about Germany. Sometimes you can even have a toxic family. And you might say, how are you going to abandon your family? How are you going to leave your family? Sometimes you absolutely have to. You have no option. Sometimes it's a toxic relationship. Sometimes it's a toxic country. Sometimes it's a toxic workplace. Sometimes that's a toxic family. Sadly, sometimes it's like that. And you needed to see the warning signs. And maybe you feel vulnerable. Maybe you fall addicted to alcohol, and that is one of the worst position to be, because that leaves you vulnerable to these vultures, and it can get really, really bad, pretty bad. I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. Again,